We're continuing on Masechet Berachot, and we're holding a Daf Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph. The Limud of Amud Yomi for Chodesh Elul has been sponsored by Dr. Aaron and Charlene Kahen for the health, happiness, and success of their children, and Leilu Nishmat Nisan ben Moshe HaKohen, that his neshama should have an aliyah. Amen. And it's also sponsored by Justin and Sarah Zarabi for the health and prosperity of Sarah Rachel Bat Nora, and also Ezra Chaim Ben Devorada should have refuah shelama. Amen. The entire learning and inspirations of KBT, the month of Elul, has been sponsored by Dr. Omid and Kelly Shayeh for the health, prosperity, and happiness and atzlacha of their family and nahat from their children. Amen. We are holding on Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph, 19 lines from up, or 10 lines from where from down up, when from the wide lines. Amar Rab Nachman. Amar Rab Nachman. Af anan nami tanina. We also learned this in a Braita. Now, what is the Gemara talking about? We spoke yesterday or last shiur about the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. When Rabbi Yehuda says ad arba shaot, does it mean until fourth hour, beginning of the fourth hour, or until fourth hour, until the end of fourth hour? And the maskana of the Gemara was that we are talking about ad ve'ad bichlal. That means until the end of fourth hour. We spoke about ad zayin shaot for musaf. We spoke about ad ha'erev, right? Ad plaga mincha in the language of Rabbi Yehuda. And we reconciled that Rabbi Yehuda, when he says ad plaga mincha, means until the end of plaga mincha, right? When he says ad arba shaot, means until the end of arba shaot. Whenever he says ad, he means until the very end of that time. So says the Gemara, Rav Nachman told us that we learned this also in the Braita. Af anan nami tanina. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava heid chamisha dvarim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava testified 5 different testimonies. This is in Masechet Idiot, Perek Vav Halacha Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. Masechet Idiot is a compiling of different testimonies that are all considered halachic, and that's why we're going to see Masechet Idiot is called Bechirta, the chosen one, because all of those Mishnayot basically are halacha. So you can't get better than that, right? This person testified this halacha, that person testified that halacha. We're going to actually speak about the historic event that actually gave us Masechet Idiot in just a moment. But we learned in Idiot that we have 5 halachot that were testified by Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. A, shemema'anin et haktana. The first and foremost is that you could have a mi'un from Ketana. That means sometimes the father, unfortunately, is not alive. If the father is alive, he could marry off a Ketana, a minor girl, and that wedding would be actually valid from Torah. It would have a deoraita validity because the father is there and he has been given a certain authority to marry off the girl. But if the father is dead, then Chazal did not want the girls to be, because nobody would want to go marry some Yetomah that doesn't have father, doesn't have support. So what would usually happen would be they would become like, girls that are wandering around, and you never want girls being wandering around, especially when they are young and they could be persuaded, they could be tricked and raped and so on and so forth. Therefore, the Chachamim gave a rabbinic authority to the mother and the brothers to marry her off. But because it's only rabbinic, she could be mema'eret. She could say, okay, I tried this. This husband is abusive, right? He's not Persian. He's not good enough. And that's it. I'm going out. He walks out. And that's it. You need no divorce. She could just walk out, and it's called mema'enet, mi'un, refraining, refusing to be with this guy, and gone. That's it.
At what age? 12?
Before she becomes bat mitzvah, right? This is ektana. So sometimes we teach her to do that because of the scenarios. We're not going to get into what exactly the topic of the Mishnah over there is, but there's some times that the Bet Din kind of like encourage her to say, okay, do mi'un. We can't do it for her. She has to walk out of the house and basically walk out on him. And that's sometimes what the Bet Din do. So that's A. B, the second halakha he taught was, we only need the fifth one. But we're going to go through all the list. The second one is the shemasi'in et ha'isha al pi ed echad, that you could marry off a woman based on one testimony, based on one ed. What is that? What is that all about? That means when a wife is married and then the husband disappears, and then one person comes and says, I saw him, he was killed. Right? He was in Medinat Hayam, in a far off land, and we were there together. He was taken captive by the pirates, whatever it is, and they ate him alive. Right? Imagine you have these things that did actually happen back in the time, right? Or he was killed. So is that enough? Usually we have alpi shnai edim. You need two edim. But here, by the edut of a wife that's going to now be aguna, by agunot, hikilu. The Gemara talks about this at length in many other places because of Chumra she'echmarta lo besofo, because she's careful not to just rely on any edut, because imagine what happens if she gets married and the husband walks in. What happens? She's asura to the husband. She can no longer go back to the first husband. She can no longer stay with the second husband, and the kids she has from the second husband are mamzerim. So therefore, she's very careful before she relies on anybody. Therefore, we were mekel on the beginning of it. So that's alpi edechad, masi'in et ha'isha alpi edechad. The third one is our tarnagol sheniskal b'Yerushalayim al sha'araget hanefesh, that not only a cow, when it gores and kills, it's going to be put to death, but the story there was in Yerushalayim that a rooster killed a baby by pecking hard at the brain, where the skull of the kid is still very soft, and they killed the tarnagol, equating the halacha of the tarnagol with a cow that killed, a bull that killed a person. That's the next one. He also testified that a wine that was the grape juice, really, that is not fully wine, was 40 days after squeezing it. So that's yain, it's like a yain toses, is still a very premature wine, but that is considered good enough to be halachic wine to be poured on the Mizbeach. So that's the fourth testimony that Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba gave. And the fifth and final one, yes, is Val Tamid Shel Shachar Shekarev Be'arba Shaot. That Tamid Shel Shachar, the Korban Tamid of morning, could come on what? Fourth hour. So this means what? That during the fourth hour is still considered Boker, which would also indicate that when Rabbi Yehuda said Ad Arba Shaot means until the end of Arba Shaot. So Rabbi Nachman said, I bring you a raya from Mishnayot in Idiot, that when we say Ad Arba Shaot, it means until the end of the fourth hour, not the beginning of fourth hour. Shemamina Advad Bichlal, you see from this Mishnah that is Advad Bichlal, that the fourth hour is included as well. Shema Mina. That's a good raya, says the Gemara. Amar Rav Kana says, Halachak Rabbi Yehuda. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that it is until fourth hour, not until Chatzot. And how do you know that? Because we learned a Mishnah in Bechirta, in Masechet Idiot, that supports Rabbi Yehuda. So you see from here, the Gemara is suggesting that Bechirta, this chosen Masechta of Idiot, is all basically halachot. There are those who say Idiot comes from language of Idit, right? Which is in the Zikini, Masechet Zikini, you have different qualities of land. You have Ziborit, Benonit, and Idit. Idit is the top quality. So this is the top quality Mishnah, as if to say that that all of it is halacha. Okay, when was this authored? We're going to have next stuff in the Gemara. We're going to have a fascinating story of Klal Yisrael, the Jewish nation, basically giving an early retirement to one of the Nesiim because of something wrong that he did. They basically retired him. They asked him, come down, we're going to appoint a new Nasi, right? And the new Nasi that they appointed, as we're going to see, was Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah changed the system of learning, and when he changed the system of learning, many new people came to learn. And on that day, the Gemara says, there was no question that was unanswered, and on that day, they authored Masechet Idiot. All of these people came and they gave Eduyot and this, and that's the day that really Masechet Eduyot came to be. So one of the fringe benefits of what we're going to learn, which the Gemara doesn't necessarily emphasize on it in the next staff, is going to be coming back to this staff and realizing that the Bechirta, this fascinating compilation of the Mishnayot that are all halacha, really happened also in this story, in the time of the story that we're going to learn in the next page in the Gemara. So says the Gemara, last narrow line, first wide lines. Now we are going to focus on one of these eduyot that the Mishnah brings in Masechet Eduyot that we just had, that on Tamid Shel Shachar is brought within the first 4 hours, the fourth hour included. Says the Gemara, Man Tana Lahai the Tanan, who is the Tana, who is the author of the Mishnah that we learned, V'chama Shemesh V'names, that by Man, when they used to get Man, it says Baboker, every morning Man used to fall, and people would go gather Man. And then it says V'chama Shemesh V'names, when it would become Chama Shemesh, which we're going to discuss what that means exactly, what time of the day that it is. V'names, it would basically melt and evaporate and be gone. So says the Mishnah, V'chama Shemesh V'names, when the pasuk says about Man, that when it would become Chama Shemesh, it would melt away. Be'arba sha'ot, this is the fourth hour. Fourth hour is when it would evaporate and be gone. Is it in the fourth hour or is it in the sixth hour? And says the Mishnah, when the pasuk says when the day was hot, the hotness of the day, and this pasuk is mentioned, by the way, by Avraham Avinu, right? Vehu Yoshev Kechom Hayom, he is sitting the third day after Brit Milah, Petach HaOel Kechom Hayom, he's sitting by the gate, the opening of the tent, Kechom Hayom. There, says the Gemara, Hare Shesh Shaot Amur. That is talking about Shesh Shaot. Kechom Hayom. Hamani Mekayem, so if Kechom Hayom is sixth hour, Chama Shemesh can't be sixth hour. We're going to see why later in the Gemara. What's the mashma'ut of Chama Shemesh? But Chama Shemesh is for sure cooler than Kechom Hayom. So if Kechom Hayom is sixth hour, Chama Shemesh is fourth hour. Right? Now, again, we're going to come back to this to know how in the world do you know Chama Shemesh, what it means, and how in the world do you know it's fourth hour? We're going to get back to that. But let's just follow along with the Gemara's order for now. Barba Shaot. So the Gemara says, Mani, lo Rabbi Yehuda velo Rabbanan. Who is the Tana of this? It can't be Rabbi Yehuda. It can't be Rabbanan. Because you're telling me that Chama Shemesh Venames, that when it would be Chama Shemesh, it would already be melting away. And you're telling me that that's the fourth hour. Right? So therefore, the Pasuk says, what's the order? The order says that it would be baboker. In the morning, they would go gather the man, right? And then kacham hashemesh, it would be gone. So that means kacham hashemesh is no longer morning. And then he tell me that when did this happen? In the duration of the fourth hour. The fourth hour, there was no man. Yeah, you got 3 hours to do the man. So it can't be Rabbi Yehuda because we just got finished saying that Rabbi Yehuda, when he says ad arba shaot, means what? Until the end, ad vad bichlal. So it can't be Rabbi Yehuda. And it for sure can't be Rabbanan because Rabbanan hold until the midday. So who in the world is the author of this Mishnah? That Kecham HaShemesh means the fourth hour is no longer the morning. Again, even though that the Mishnah is talking about man, but the Mishnah also is defining indirectly what boker means, what morning is. Because the Pasuk says in the morning he was available. People went and gathered it, baboker, in the morning, right? And then he says, when it was no longer morning, Kecham HaShemesh, v'names. So indirectly, you also see what's morning, what's not morning. So the Mishnah is clearly telling you the fourth hour from the beginning of the fourth is already not morning. Who is that? Can't be Rabbi Yehuda, can't be Rabbanan. Says the Gemara. Ibait Emma says, no. Ibait Emma, if you want me to tell you, it could be Rabbi Yehuda. If you want, I'll tell you that's Rabbanan. So let's read the Gemara inside. Lo Rabbi Yehuda velo Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda at arba shaot nami safrahu. If it's Rabbi Yehuda, until the end of fourth hour, we already proved Rabbi Yehuda holds this morning. Rabbanan, and if it's Rabbanan, at chatzot nami safrahu. Even until chatzot, still considered morning. Safra. So says the Gemara, Ibait ema Rabbi Yehuda, Ibait ema Rabbanan. This is not true. I could prove to you, I could suggest that this is Rabbi Yehuda, I could suggest that this is Rabbanan, and both of them could fit. Both of them could be the author of the Mishnah. Ibait ema Rabbanan, Amar kra baboker, chalkeu lishne bekarim. Why do you think the pasuk by Man says baboker, right? Baboker is coming to tell you that there are two bokers, right? There are two bokers. If you divide the morning from 6 a.m., let's call it from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., this is baboker, and again, this is Rabbanan, so let's call it 12. 6 to 12 is considered morning according to Rabbanan, but the pasuk by Man says baboker. It's not written like this, but it's writing like this. Baboker, right? Why does it say baboker twice? Just tell me baboker once. The reason it's telling you is to tell you that there are two levels of morning. There is one 6 to 9 and 9 to 12, right? And it's coming to tell you baboker means you have to really go early. Only the first half is good, which is until the end of third hour. Right? 6 to 7, 1, 8, and 9. That's what he means. So it could be Rabbanan, and no problem. Ibait Eman, if you want me to tell you, I could tell you that this is also Rabbi Yehuda, but just change the hours here, right? Instead of having 6 to 12, you could have 6 to 10, right? 6 to 10, and the baboker, the reason that you have 2 is coming to tell you that when you have 3 divisions, 1, 2, and 3, baboker is coming to add that you can't go all the way to the end. You have to come 1 hour earlier, which would be
how do we get
9 o'clock.
How do we switch to 10?
Because Rabbi Yehuda holds how many hours of morning you have? 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and 9 to 10, 4 hours.
Okay.
And we said that Rabbi Yehuda holds ad vad bichlal until the end of fourth hour.
Right.
So you have 4 hours, 6 to 10. I'm talking about equinoxes. And equinoxes would be 6 to 6, 6 a.m., 6 p.m. So that would be your hours.
What's the second bulk here?
No, the addition, according to Rabbi Yehuda, what I was going to say, the addition is coming to tell you it has to be early morning. Early morning is the first 3 hours.
Oh, that's all it's saying.
That's all
it's
it's
not
saying.
that it's divided into 2.
No. right? 6 to 7, 8. No, so sorry. This is when you have lawyers in the crowd. Lawyers make their life miserable for everyone. You're fired, right? Here, 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. You happy? You happy? There we go. So I love this guy. That's it. Full disclosure. It's my favorite. So says the Gemara. Baboker chalkeu lishne bakarim. Divide it to 2 different mornings. And if you want, I tell you it's Rabbi Yehuda. Hi Boker. This Boker that's added, the additional Boker, the pasuk says, Hi Boker Yetera, the additional Boker lahaktiv lo sha'achat, that you have to come 1 hour earlier. So instead of 10 o'clock, it will be 9 o'clock, which is the beginning of the 4th hour. So basically, what I say is, don't bring that Mishnah in. That's a specific halacha about man. That's it. Rejected the entire proof. Says the Gemara. The Kula Alma, the Gemara says fine. But at the end of the day, Kula Alma mi had the Chama Shemesh v'names b'arba sha'ot. At the end of the day, everybody agrees that when it says Chama Shemesh v'names is what time? The 4th hour of the day, 9 to 10, is the time that man already melted. How do you know? Who says Chama Shemesh? The words we spoke about Kechom Hayom, right? We spoke about Kechom Hayom. Who says that the words Chama Shemesh, these 2 words, who says that this means 4th hour?
Right, you know.
How do you know? How does anybody know that this is the 4th hour? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you how. My mashma, what's the mashma'ut? Amar Rab Acha bar Yaakov, Rab Acha bar Yaakov said, Amar Rav Chama Shemesh v'names, ezo isha'a she'ashemesh cham, v'hatzel sonen, haveh b'arba sha'ot. What's the time during the day? That's why I wrote this down. That's cham and shemesh. That only where it's sun, it's hot, but the shade's still cold. That's the 4th hour. The 4th hour is the time that you have, it's not, the heat is not spread all over the place. In the sun, it's hot. But in the shade, it's still cool. That's the 4th hour. Says the Gemara, Tfilat mincha ad ha'erev, Rabbi Yehuda omer, at praga mincha. We learned the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda about mincha. Amar le Rav Chisda le Rabbi Yitzchak. Hatam amar Rav Kana halachak Rabbi Yehuda, hoil v'tnam bebechitak bateh. We just learned right now that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to the morning, that Tfilat Shacharit you could do until the end of 4th hour. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda versus Rabbanan that say Chatzot, right? How about Plaga Mincha? So we had another machloket. What time can you do Mincha up until? Rabbi Yehuda said until Plaga Mincha, which is hour and 15 minutes before Shkia, right? Before what we call sunset. And Chachamim said at ha'erev. Who's the halacha like? Can we follow and say once halacha by Shacharit is like Rabbi Yehuda, by Mincha also is like Rabbi Yehuda or not? Hachamai, Ishti. He was quiet, he didn't answer, right? Rabbi Yitzchak did not have an answer. He didn't say anything. Amar Rav Chisda said, okay, we have to find an answer for this ourselves. Let's see. Midrav Matzli Shal Shabbat Erev Shabbat. We know that Rav, right? Rav and Shmuel, Rav, davened Arvit of Shabbat, Be'erev Shabbat, when it was before sunset of Friday evening. So from there you could see the halacha perhaps is Shema Mina halacha Rabbi Yehuda. You see from there the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara says no, that's not a proof. Adarabah, exactly the opposite. Rav was the only one that did that. But his friends, Rav Huna and Rabbanan, all the Chachamim, they looked at him like, no, we're not doing that. And they davened afterwards. Lo habu matzlu ad urta, they would not daven until the nightfall. They would not do Arvit of Shabbat, Friday night, Shabbat, until the nightfall. Shema Mina, ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So let's suggest that halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Hashtag roit bar halacha. Gemara does something unprecedented, something very interesting. Gemara says it's not clear. We don't know if halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda or halacha is like Rabbanan. This is a massive, massive, massive chidush, and we're going to spend a little bit of time tomorrow on explaining this as well. The Gemara says, "Hashta de lo itmar halacha lo kemar velo kemar." Now that halacha is not said clearly, not like Rabbi Yehuda and not like Chachamim, the avad kemor avad, or the avad kemor avad. You could decide what you want to do. This is amazing, Rabotai, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, after flag, no longer mincha, but you could do arvit. According to Chachamim, you go straight to a very hot place if you do arvit before sunset, right? So can you do it or can you not do it? And this is, again, something that we deal with on a daily basis. You have a flag mincha. Can I decide one day I want to do early mincha arvit? I come to KBT, I'll do 5:30 mincha, followed by arvit right away afterwards, which the sun is, you can see the sun and you're davening arvit. And tomorrow I'll decide I need to daven much later, so I'm going to do mincha after flag and arvit after sunset. Can I do that? Can I decide today, like Rabbi Yehuda, tomorrow? Can I decide to be contradictory within the same day? Can I daven, say, I daven mincha right now, Hashem Yichud K'Chav B'Richu, I love Chachamim. I love Chachamim right now. This moment, I love Chachamim. Right now is day. After flag mincha, it's day. Then I finish Alon Shabbat, I'm like, I changed my mind. I love Rabbi Yehuda a lot. Right now it's after flag, it's night. Arvit. Can I do that? What do you mean depends? It says Keman. What does the Gemara mean? The Avad Keman Avad or the Avad Keman Avad? That's something that we're going to discuss with Hashem tomorrow. But the halacha is going to be a fascinating show. Do not miss it. If
your wife wants you at dinner.
That's pikuach nefesh.